Hi everybody. So Joyce Davis suggested a couple of months ago that I record myself doing a coloring tutorial. And she scared me to death because I had never done anything like that before and I had no idea how to get started. And today I have a very flimsy setup and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So I'm in Hannah Carlzon's Daydreams book. She's one of my favorite illustrators. I've got 4 of her books. She's got just a very unique style that I really like. I've got a few of these pages colored in here. And today I'm gonna be showing you a demonstration using this Peacock page. So I'm working on these little areas in the Peacock where the shading goes from purple, violet to parrot green to this lighter green here. So I'm actually brought these in to show you. So these are my wraps from when I go to boxing class, so one for each hand. And this is my water bottle. It looks a little more blue in this light, but you can see that it goes from purple to green. So I just love this color combination. So that's what I really wanted to be a big part of this picture. I'm using Prismacolor Premier pencils, and I'm going to be showing you these 3 colors. So Imperial Violet, this Parrot Green, and this light green to do those pieces. One thing to know about Prismacolor pencils, and this is going to be a big part of what you're going to see in the demonstration, is that they're wax-based. So we've got to be careful not to use too much pressure early on and then try to layer over it, or you're not going to get the kind of gradiated or gradual blending that you see in some of these pieces. So just to show you what I mean by that, so here's my Imperial Violet pencil, and if I press pretty hard on a piece of paper to get that color, that nice rich color that we want, and then try to go and blend it with this green color, you can see we're not going to get a good blend. They are both pretty separate. So what we need to do as we're coloring these, it's going to be a lot of light layers to get the color base and make sure that they're going to play nicely. And then after that, we can go in with heavier pressure to get these nice deep colors. So let's get started. Okay, so I zoomed in and I twisted the book around so that you can see I'm right-handed. So as I'm doing the blending, you should be able to see more of the space if I have it oriented this way. So what we're gonna start with, so I have my violet pencil and we're just gonna start coloring along this edge right here. And toward the top where we're not going to be blending with the green at all, I can use a little bit heavier pressure, but I'm still not going super heavy. So you can see that there's still, it's pretty light shade for this color. But then as I start to get closer to the center of this area, I want to go pretty light. So I'm going pretty light-handed here, kind of in this circular motion, because when we're blending, we don't want the harsh lines between the different colors. And one thing that I should mention, that several of you have asked me how to get started, and a couple of you have come over to the house and I've given some tips and tricks and whatnot. Going from violet to green, they're not close on the color wheel. So I would not recommend starting with this color combination. I've been at this for a couple of years and it took me a long time to be able to do this. Going from the light green to the dark green, those are in the same color family. So that blending that we're doing right here in these areas, that's relatively easy. And so if you're getting started, please, consider just sticking with the same color family, or, something that's closer on the color wheel for your blending. Otherwise, I do think that you could probably get frustrated pretty quick with this. This is a pretty advanced coloring shade that you're seeing here. So I'm being particularly careful here as I'm using some of my green. That was a little heavier than I wanted. Into my green shading here, I'm just using light strokes to start the blending process with this green. With the violet. So I'm going to get a little heavier down here because I don't have to worry about the blending with the violet. I want to bring this down below this circle. And I do want to lighten up a little bit as I get into this lower area, because even though I'm going to be blending with a color that's in the same color family, I still don't want it to show any lines. Like, I don't want a harsh line here. So I'm going to go a little bit in this direction too, just so that we get a nice blend. So I'm going to go back to the purple, the Imperial Violet color, and I'm going to go a little heavier up here toward the top and reach it down here into this parrot green. And still, with this layer, I'm still trying to be careful not to get too heavy as we're getting into the parrot green, because we've got to do, a couple more layers like this. I'm going to do the parrot green and come up like this. And you can see that, it doesn't look anything like this yet. We'll get there. But you are starting to see where, we've got the colors playing nicely. We've got a little bit of a line here that we can blend out a little bit better. We'll get there. Okay. And then I'm going to use my light green to start from the bottom of this feather area. And I'm using a little bit better pressure down here because it's not going to be blended with anything. So I'm just going to use a little bit better pressure down there. And then when I get closer up into this parrot green where we're blending, I'm not using super hard pressure yet. Let's just get it nice and blended. Like this. I mentioned earlier about the wax-based pencils and needing to be careful not to build up a waxy buildup that you can't penetrate, and that'll keep you from blending correctly. It helps when you're working in a particular area to let it sit for a few seconds, let that pigment sink down into the paper, and before you come back over it to do another layer. So that's why I'm working a little bit now on this light green area to give that a chance to work itself in. But now I'm going to go back up here and let's blend this area a little bit better. I'm going to go in this direction now and kind of feather that purple down. Okay, now with the next layer of parrot green, I'm going to put a bit more pressure down here and start working my way up. Here's where we're going to start getting those deep, rich colors. I don't want to do it so heavy that I can't go back over it with the violet, but I do want to start seeing some of that deep color of the pencil in here. Fan that down. Come up here. We still have a ways to go. Okay, now I'm going to take the violet and I'm going to do kind of the same thing, kind of work my way into that parrot green color. Oops, got out of the line there. That's fixable. So just work this, not doing too heavy so that it's just built up too much. Okay, so we're starting to look a little bit more like this, and then it's just more layers like that. Get these to look the way we want them to. Jim's coming up the stairs, I'm recording. Okay. Probably should have time-lapsed this part. That'll be next time, Joyce. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now let's go in and make this really dark. And as we're getting darker and getting more layers onto the paper, you're seeing that a lot of the little white specks that kind of come through the paper, they start disappearing. And so it's got just this nice solid color to it. Okay, and then I just want to go over this one more time and get rid of some of that harsh line that was there. That's looking pretty good. Okay, and then let's go and finish up this little blending down here on the bottom. Make sure that this is nice and rich. And we'll use our light green. Pretty heavy this time and get all this good and blended. Come up this direction a little bit. And there we go. Let me turn it this way. Actually, I see like right in here we could do a little bit better. So I'm gonna grab my parrot green and just get this blended just a little bit better. There's this one little spot right here. That actually is showing up on my phone screen more than it's showing up to me when I look at the book. So I think I'm just going to leave it alone because I think that that's pretty good. There you go. I hope that this was helpful and happy coloring.